Hey guys, so I know it's been a while since I've done a video. I actually had a few videos that I had done, but unfortunately they had gotten deleted. A lot of really cool reviews that I was really excited about, but all the film had got deleted, and it just kind of took my morale down, and I really didn't feel like doing them again. But that being said, I finally got around to getting all my rods together, and I'm going to do a rod arsenal video for you guys. I have a lot more rods and reels than I thought, and I actually have more on the way, but we'll get into that when we do the rod arsenal video. I do have another tackle warehouse order coming in tomorrow with a lot of new lures that I'm going to be doing reviews on for that. Some cool stuff that I want to show you guys and stuff I've been wanting to try. So whenever that comes in, we'll do that. But for now, we'll go ahead and get into this arsenal video. Okay guys, so the first thing we're going to get into here are my casting reels. The first little section here we have are my multi-purpose rods and reels. So starting out, we have a Quantum EXO here. This particular model is a 6:1 gear ratio reel, and the particular rod I have it on here is a crankbait 7/6 medium heavy Denali covert rod, as you can see there. This one I like to use for swim baits, jerk baits, things like that. It actually doesn't see a lot of use. This reel is actually pretty much almost brand new, just because I have quite a few multi-purpose rods. I'm kind of in the stages of kind of narrowing down the rods and reels that I use and getting rid of some older ones, but we'll see where this one falls. So next up here we have a Quantum Tour 7:1 gear ratio reel. You can see there. This one is on a Rosewood Series Denali rod, and this particular rod is a 7/6 medium heavy custom crankbait. This is another one that doesn't get used a whole lot. Again, jerk baits and all that. It's just one of those things where I'm gonna have to kind of start kind of clearing out my rods and reels, because I have too many reels and too many rods, but not a bad problem to have. So next up here, this is actually a setup I use quite a bit. This particular reel is another Quantum Tour. This is 6:3:1 gear ratio. What we have this one for, this is on a spinnerbait rod. This is a Rosewood it's a 610 medium heavy rod, specifically for spinner baiting. It's a great rod. I love it for spinner baits. I've caught a bunch of fish on it. I'll also throw a lot of chatterbaits on it as well. It's just a real nice rod. I mean, it would work for topwater too. It has strong backbone on it, and good for topwater as well. Okay, so next up here, this one's actually one I just switched today. We have a Quantum Tour KVD series reel, another kind of higher end reel. What we have this one on is kind of on a brand new rod here. This is a one I just bought, hasn't seen a lot of action at all. It's a Denali Rosewood 7'4" multi-purpose rod. So I think this one will kind of become my go-to multi-purpose rod, and we might see some of those other rods and reels move around and maybe take on different actions. Okay, so next up here we have my go-to topwater rod and reel. And this reel I've had for a long time. It's about 3 or 4 years now, and it's put up with a lot of abuse, but man, does it hold up. Another Quantum EXO, and you can see there it's kind of got some wear on it. It's seen quite a few fish. But on it we have a J2 series. You can see the new top there. It's a Denali J2 series topwater rod. This is another 6'6" rod, so it's kind of short, but it's made to get those hooks in there and get them in there fast, because you know you need to do that with the topwater bite. So, and then last up on my kind of multi-purpose rods, but this one serves a big purpose. This is a Quantum Smoke reel. I think this is a 7:1 gear ratio, and what we have this on here is a Carolina rig rod. It's a 7'4" heavy rod, but what I like to throw it for is, as you can see there, good old-fashioned Alabama rig. I just got a heavy rod with a reel that I can really get those things moving on, or if I need to, I can slow it down and get it going. Of course, you have your braid on there, so you're not losing all your rigs. But yeah, nice rod and reel. Okay, so next up here, we're gonna get into our cranking rods. I have quite a few of these as well. This we have here, this is a Quantum, and as you can see, it's been recently used and abused. So we have our backlash there that I couldn't get out. We have a Quantum Energy. This is a 7-to-1 gear ratio reel. And we have this one paired with an actually special Denali covert rod. They kind of started they put new blanks on these. They didn't put them out for sale. They just had them for some of the pro team. And I got them, and I love them. They're lighter, they're thinner, if you could tell from the other rods, but this is a 7-foot medium heavy. And I love this rod. That's why you can see here it's got a ton of use, and that's why it has that backlash on it. Okay, so next up we have the big boy. This, another Quantum smoke reel. This one though is a 5-to-1 gear ratio. And the reason we have that is because we're throwing that big 10XD on it. You need something that you can real slow and not wear yourself out with trying to get it back in. And of course we have it on a big rod, on a Magnum crankbait, extra heavy 710 rod. And this is a rosewood, Denali rosewood. Real nice setup, does the job well, gets that heavy bait in and gets the hooks in there. Next up is a brand new rod line from Denali that I just got in today. They're not even for sale yet. Super excited about it. The Denali Lithium series. This particular one is their crankbait series. I don't know if you can make that out. It's a 7-foot medium heavy rod. This is probably going to kind of become my go-to crankbait rod. I pulled this Tor off of an old covert extra heavy rod that I just wasn't using. So I mean, it's kind of worthless to have this nice reel sitting around on a rod that's not getting used. So I took this, and it's going to become my new kind of summertime cranking rod. It's a 7-to-1 gear ratio reel. So really excited to get this guy out there and see what it's about. Super light rod, very, very pretty. So you can see there the design on it, and the reel goes with it. It's a really gorgeous setup. Okay, moving down the line. This is my favorite light setup. We have another Quantum EXO reel. This was a 6-to-1 gear ratio reel, but we have it paired with the Quantum EXO rod. The reason why I like this rod so much is it is super light. Of course, you know, Quantum EXO reels are super light also. They're called exoskeleton because anything that's not necessary, they're kind of taken out of there. And has an aluminum frame. It's very light. This whole rod, I don't even, if it does weigh more than a pound, I'd be surprised. The whole thing, it's just amazingly light. That being said, you can't throw heavy stuff on it. You're not going to be doing any flipping with it, you know. But just for my kind of mid-range crankbaits, my 2 to 7, 8 feet crankbaits, I just love this thing. Absolutely love it. So moving on, we have our deep diving cranking rig. Once again, another Quantum smoke. The reason I have my deep divers and my heavy uses on these Quantum smokes is because these things are workhorses. My very first high-class reel, or not high-class, but high-priced reel, was a Quantum smoke, and man, I still have that thing. It still works. It's now one of my beater reels, but it goes and goes and goes. So that's why I got these for the heavy cranking and stuff like that. So this is what I use for kind of my 5XD, 6XD type lures, anything that'll go around 20 feet. From about 15 to 20 feet. I have it paired with a Denali Rosewood series rod. This is a custom crankbait, and it's 7'11" rod. I wanted to get it a little bit longer so that I can really get those casts out there and get those deep baits down deep. Okay, moving on to our flipping rods. So here we have a Quantum Energy. It's a 7-to-1 gear ratio. Of course, you're going to need that faster gear ratio to get those reeling that slack and get that hook set really set in. This is on a Denali covert. This is another one of the special blanks that they had set out, which actually the lithium rod that I just showed you, they wound up using those blanks on those rods, the lighter blanks. And I guess they just kind of did a test run with these to see how they worked. And of course they held up really well. So that's why I'm so excited to get those lithiums out there and use them. But this particular rod is a 7.2 medium heavy rod. So of course has fast tip on it. It's good for getting that hook set in there. This is my main flipping rod. I'm usually flipping a Texas rig or maybe even a shaky head on there, depending. I think there's a 12-pound line on here. I have another one I have 10-pound that I'll do a shaky head on, but yeah. I'm kind of limited to what I have as far as flipping rods right now, which is probably what I wind up doing with some of these multi-purpose rods, is switch them over to flipping rods so that I have a little more options as far as my flipping goes. But that being said, my next rod, this is another Quantum Energy. I really like these reels. This is a 6-3-to-1 worm and jig, and the reason I have 6-3-to-1 on this because this is what I use primarily for my jigs. Don't have one tied on right now. I wound up breaking it off the last time I was there. But yeah, really nice reel, really nice rod setup. Great for doing jigs. Of course, it has your flipping switch on there, so if you hold that little lever down, it'll hold this down and you don't have to worry about clicking it every time. So that's about the lineup of my casting reels. Next we'll go over and check out our spinning reels. Okay, so as far as spinning reels goes, I don't have a ton of them. I don't really use a ton of them. I like them. I don't really have anything against them the way a lot of people do. It's just I don't, you know, I can get everything done with my casters that I can with these generally, if I put light enough line on them. So starting off here, let me get this hook undone. We have a Quantum EXO spinning reel. Absolutely beautiful, absolutely light. Awesome reel. I think we have 8 or 10 pound test tied on there right now, and it's paired with a Quantum Smoke casting rod. You can see, if you can make that out, I really doubt you can. But this is a 6.6 medium rod, kind of short, but what I like to use it for is for lighter baits, jerk baits mostly. That's kind of my go-to bait on this. Of course, this rod has the line counter on it that you can tells you what pound test you have on there. If you just switch it around, you can make that out. So that's really neat for this one, so that if I know exactly what size line I'm using on this, because it's mainly for light line. I know exactly how light it is and exactly what kind of fishing I can do with it for that particular week or day. Moving on, another great rod. I really love the Quantum Energy line. They're middle class as far as the PT series. They're perfect. They're workhorses. They'll get it done for you, and they don't cost too much. That's what I love about them, and they look really nice. Anyways, moving on. This is a Quantum Energy spinning reel. It's a size 25. I think the Quantum Energy here was a size 30. I got a little bit bigger just because I knew I'd be using it a little bit more than the others. But we have a size 25 here. This one is paired with a Denali covert rod here. I think this, let me check here. Like I said, I don't use these, so I'm not super. Yeah, 7.2 medium heavy rod. Basically what this rod gets used for is if I have somebody fishing with me that doesn't fish a lot and can't cast a casting reel, this is the rod that gets used. So i.e. my wife is who gets to use this reel, which is why we have a non-typical spinning bait on there. So this is generally the one she goes to. It used to be my main one, but I'd rather let her use that one than my a little more expensive EXO, so that's the one she kind of gets to use. And then lastly here on our spinning reels, we have a Quantum Accurist size 25 spinning reel. Very pretty reel. Of course, all Quantums are pretty. We know that. This one is actually paired with an Accurist, with an Accurist rod. So it's the only setup I have that's actually matched. This is a 6.8 medium light rod. Basically, what this one is for, sorry guys, I got wrapped up here. This is for good old drop shot. That's all I use it for. And the lake I fish, yeah, you don't come across that a lot. There's drop shot really isn't a thing. Most of the time the fish that are deep are white bass, and that's not what we're hunting. So this gets very little usage as of right now, but sometimes it does get used, and it has come in handy. But that's that. Okay, and lastly, what we have here, these are what I call my beater rods. These are my bank fishing rods and reels. If I'm out on a kayak, this is what I'm using because I know these rods or reels are going to take some damage, and I know these are expendable. They're cheaper. They're not bad. They're just cheaper, and I know that if these break or if I bust them, I don't have to worry as much about as losing as much money. So these are, like I said, what I take out bank fishing and what I take on my kayak. So first off here, we have, you remember I mentioned that Quantum Smoker earlier that I bought, the very first one. This is it. I still use this as my main beater flipping rod. It's a 7-to-1 gear ratio reel. Still works perfect. I've never had any problems. I keep it oiled, I keep it greased up, and it's good to go. I have it paired with a Quantum Accurist flipping rod. This particular is a 7'6" heavy rod, and it gets the job done. I've caught tons of fish off this thing. I really wish I could tell you how many fish I've caught with this reel, because it's probably a pretty staggering number. The day I have to get rid of this reel is going to be a real sad day. But like I said, it's held up for several years, and hopefully it'll hold up for several more. So moving on, I keep a spare kind of spinnerbait slash topwater rod here. And what we have on here, this is kind of a reel that doesn't get a lot of usage either. This is an older Quantum Accurist. And you'll see I have a newer Accurist too. This is the old burner series there. And what I use this for is, it's on a custom worm and jig rod, but I actually use it, as you can see there, for topwater, buzz baits, and spinner baits mostly. Jerk baits I'll use sometimes. Of course, the rod is not calibrated exactly for those type of baits, but like I said, this is a beater rod. This is for bank fishing, which I used to get to do a lot more, but now that the lakes have filled up, I don't really get to go kayak fishing or anything like that. It's just a little bit tougher to get out there when the wind's blowing, and of course you can't walk the banks with the full Blake. But so that's that. We have it paired with, of course, an older Jade Wood series rod, so I don't have to worry about it getting broken down or anything. All right, next up we have my main cranking reel here, and I apologize, it is kind of dirty there. It's been sitting around for a little while. Like I said, I hadn't got to do a lot of bank fishing. This is a Quantum Accurist. This is one of the newer models, as you can see from the older one there. It's the white model. This is a 6-to-1 gear ratio, so I can fish a lot of stuff on it. It is paired with a Denali new J2 series cranking rod. It's a 7'6" medium heavy rod. Works for just about anything. This is just, if I'm going fishing on the bank or in a kayak, this rod and reel is with me all the time, every time. This is what gets stuff done. Great little combo. Love having it with me. And then lastly, I do keep a spinning setup as a beater setup, just so that, I mean, you never know. You can get on a good school or something out on a kayak, and when they quit biting, you may need that finesse technique. This is a 20 series reel. It's an older Quantum Accurist. I actually got this on sale for like 30 bucks at Gander Mountain, so I picked it up. It was kind of hard to beat. I have it paired with a custom shaky head, older Denali Jade Wood series rod. This one, basically, if I'm gonna run real quick down to the river, I live just 2 blocks down from a river, and if I know I'm gonna run down there real fast and just kind of junk fish, this is generally the rod I'll take, because I know I can get lighter baits down there, and I know I can cast far enough to get them there. So that's what that is. I do have a Quantum KVD, well, Team KVD, not the higher end reel here, that I just removed from a rod. Not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. Like I said, I'm trying to get everything kind of toned down. I do have another lithium series rod here. It is a flipping rod. It's a worm and jig 7.4 medium heavy rod. So like I said, I need to kind of beef up my flipping arsenal, and that's going to be part of it. I also have a Quantum EXO 7-to-1 gear ratio reel on the way that they had Father's Day sale on for 50% off, so that was kind of hard to beat. So guys, that was my rod arsenal video. As you can tell, I have quite a few setups, and I have quite a few setups that I need to kind of tone down a little bit and get them in places that they need to be, because I have a lot of rods and reels right now that are, you know, not cheap rods and reels, that are very nice reels that are just kind of not getting used. I'll go over that some weekend. It's just, when it comes down to either going fishing or sitting and going through your rods and reels, generally fishing wins out. So anyways, be looking out for a couple of lure reviews and tackle openings. I will have a giveaway hopefully by next month. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys watching. Go check out the Hooked Up Network and all the great channels that they have on there, and like and subscribe if you liked the video. Appreciate it, guys.